Well, welcome everybody to another segment of Lewis at Large. Yours truly, Warner Lewis, here from the flight deck, and that means some smart talk radios in your future. This segment, no exception. Got a good one here. A name that if you've lived in Northeast Kansas in the last decade or so, or even longer, you certainly know this one. Willie Wilson, one of the most talented Kansas City Royals to come down the pike, known for his speed, known for his agility, and played in 2 World Series, both of them with different results, different stories, but we'll let him talk about that a little bit. He also, in my opinion, just as importantly, he ran into some adversity in his life. He has worked very hard. Not only did he come back from that adversity, but he's also now helping others with the Willie Wilson Foundation, which we will also explore. We're also going to be talking about a brand new book called Inside the Park, Running the Base Path of Life. It's Willie Wilson, done with Kent Pulliam, well-known writer in Kansas City. Willie, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing good. I'm listening to you say all this. It gives me chill bumps.
Well, that's here's the deal. You're the most important thing happening on the show right now, and you're the only thing happening on the show right now. You know, let's bring our. We'll talk about the big league career, but I'd like to talk a little bit about your life prior to your public life. You grew up in the South, but then ultimately you ended up in New Jersey, I believe, where you started in high school there. You gave up a football scholarship to the University of Maryland to sign with the Royals in the early 70s. Tell us a little bit about up through, let's say, as a senior in high school. Tell us how some of those years were formative to Willie Wilson.
Well, first of all, you said I was born in Montgomery, Alabama, and I was born in the South there. And it was quite different in the 50s. A lot of things were going on there. So it was a big adjustment for me to come up to New Jersey. And the first thing is I didn't know I was going to New Jersey. I just thought I was going on a road trip with my grandmother and my Uncle Tim. And I meet my mom for the first time, so that's a big adjustment. So playing sports was something that was an outlet for me because I didn't really know anybody in New Jersey and didn't really know New Jersey, the North, and what was going on up there. So when I played sports, I found out that I was pretty good at it, and it let me express myself. And I was a catcher in high school from 8th grade to 12th grade, and I always felt like if you want to learn how to play baseball, be a catcher. You call the game, you see the game, everything's in front of you, and you control the game. So that was good for me. But, when I became a high schooler, football was the thing. Football was the thing in the city of Summit, New Jersey, and it was kind of a tradition to play, and I was pretty good at it. But we also had really good teammates and really good teams, and I did turn down the scholarship, but that wasn't until after 10th grade, 11th grade, and getting ready to graduate.
But share with us as deeply as you can, or you feel comfortable with, meeting your mother for the first time. Tell us about that exchange.
Well, I didn't know my mom. I was probably 6 years, 11 months. I know that my brother was born already, my half-brother Anthony, in May. And I was 6 years old. We got there in June, my grandmother and my Uncle Tim. My grandmother, I thought, was my mom. I'd known her all my life.
Right.
I was up to almost 7. So meeting my mom the first time in Newark, New Jersey, after riding a few days on a Greyhound bus was quite a shock to me. I met my brother, my mom, and a stepfather, and was pretty much just handed to them. And I was really kind of quiet after that because I was more drawn in because I didn't know anybody. So
right.
My mom, she was kind of a different lady. She was more of a, I always called her Gestapo, but she was pretty tough. But she had 2 boys, and eventually my stepfather and her split, so she had to take care of both of us. So the hard thing for me was seeing my grandmother and my Uncle Tim go somewhere else and leave me there with two people I really didn't know.
Yeah, indeed. You and so the tremendous outlet for you was the expression of your athletic abilities in high school sports.
Yeah, I mean you can't express a whole lot of stuff when you don't know someone to express it.
Right.
And so, I started playing sports at a relatively young age as far as playground sports and stuff like that. I didn't get into organized sports until probably about 8th grade when Mr. Guida, who was head of the community center there, and he just got me to play baseball, told me to get off my bicycle and do something worthwhile.
Yeah.
And I said, what would that be? And he said, well, why don't you go play some baseball? And that's how I started playing the game. But usually before that, it would be neighborhood games, playing in the neighborhood or playing in the parks. And when I was playing in the South, we would play with broom handles.
Yep.
break the broom handle or the mop handle or whatever it may be and play with that. And so it was different.
Willie, okay, again, just purely in the interest of time, I would like to explore this more, but let's jump forward now to you with the Royals organization. Tell us what it was like, the early days, and then what it was like to be called up.
Well, when I got drafted, strangely enough, being, living in the East Coast for so long, I didn't know what Kansas City was, where it was, or what kind of team it was. I mean, we were East Coast people at that time. So
were you a Yankee fan or a Met fan?
Oh, I was a Met fan, a Jet fan, and a Ranger fan.
Okay.
And, we were... That's who you rooted for, and you didn't go too far to west because you didn't know too many other teams. So when I got drafted, it was quite a shock because I was going to go and play football. I'd signed a letter of intent, played for the University of Maryland, and the person who took me around, ironically, ended up being a Kansas City Chief, and that was Walter White. So,
wow.
It's really strange how things happen, right?
Yeah.
So I got there. Was drafted, finished high school, went down to Florida. Sarasota, Florida was my first trip, and they wanted to make me an outfielder, and I was a catcher. So I dropped a lot of balls, didn't know how to throw, a lot of different things you had to learn how to do, and a lot of people think it's just easy, but it isn't. So I didn't do very well, and to make a long story short, up until AAA, I did all right, but it wasn't anything outstanding. And AAA, Whitey Herzog gave me an opportunity to switch hit. I started switch hitting in AAA the first time. I think I was 22. Began to like it. Began to learn how to hit that way. Had my highest average. Stole the most bases, and had a chance to play in spring training the next year and made the club. So that was fun.
What you mentioned Whitey Herzog and having you switch it. What do you think? Did he see something special in you? What was the opportunity there?
Well, I think the hitting coach at the time, and I'm pretty sure it was Charlie Lau, and I think they discussed it and saw how fast I was. So they were trying to get me to get on base any way I could, whether it be by error or hit by a pitch, but. Left-handed gave me and right-handed gave me more of an opportunity to get on base. And I never questioned what they did, ironically. A lot of people would go, why? But I never did. I just thought it was part of the process. And it turned out that I was a pretty good left-handed hitter, and it worked out well.
Indeed. Certainly totally add quite a weapon to the arsenal there for sure. Let's we can't. We've got to touch on both World Series. Let's talk about the one against the Phillies. You had 12 strikeouts, and happily for you, you no longer hold that record for struggling in the series. But anything you can put your finger on in particular now that you look back on that series that why the struggle?
Yeah, I can tell you exactly why. I tried too hard. Every time you used to hear people, or if you hear Charlie Lau, he'd say, try easy. Everything is, even when George was telling the kids playing when he was hitting mentally, try easy. And when you try too hard, you tighten up. Not tighten up scared, tighten up with your hands because you're trying to hit it too hard or you're trying to hit it too far. And subsequently, you're slower and you're not catching up with anything that you're supposed to hit. And when you try too hard, that's what happens. And it wasn't being scared or whatever that may be. It was just trying too hard. And if I could go back and do it over again, I'd try easy. And but that's what I figured out in the second one. Don't try too hard. Try easy and just play it just like you would be playing if you're in a ballpark or backyard or anywhere.
Yeah.
And that's what happened.
In '83, you're arrested on cocaine charges. That could have been enough to send anybody pretty much to the showers. It didn't for you. 1984, you win Player of the Year. They head to the World Series again in '85, and where you had a spectacular role, batting .367, if I remember right, and scored a couple of runs, knocking in some RBIs over the Cardinals. What a wonderful moment for you then.
Well, it was a lot of pain, joy, frustration, all of that mixed into one because, '83 you just mentioned, that was a really graphic and really trying times in my life. And then, of course, in '84, I was coming out of prison and, being suspended for 45 days, losing roughly, I would say, a $250,000 in salary and endorsements and stuff like that. So it was a tough time in '84, but we did overcome it as the team. And in some really strange way, I felt like we became closer in '84 and '85 as a team because of my struggles, because we wanted to stick together.
Yeah.
But it wasn't easy. And, I give myself credit, but I also give my teammates credit because they had to deal with a lot of unwanted stuff.
There was, if you followed the Royals back then, there was no question that team grew. There was some talent on that team, but Willie, would you agree that few baseball historians would look at that team as one loaded with individual superstars, just a really good chemistry of people?
Well, if you look at the Royals over their history, I think through the time that I played and when I retired, I think the '77 team was probably the most talented, the best record, all the way around. As pitching, defense, I would think that would be the best team. But the '80 team wasn't bad. And the '85 and the '84 team kind of combined. '84 was really good chemistry, but '85 we made a couple trades that we got Dane Orge. It was Garth? No, it's Dane Orge, and it was Lonnie Smith.
Yeah.
And that even solidified our chemistry together. And we made one more change after Onis Concepcion got hurt and put Buddy Biancalana as short. So, just those three changes with the same pitching staff, the same the nucleus of players, it just really worked for us that year.
Before we move on and talk about, and again, if you just joined us, we're talking to Willie Wilson, one of the greats of the Kansas City Royals. It's almost impossible to think about the Royals and not think about Willie Wilson, but a tremendous career, tremendous struggles professionally on and off the field, all of which chronicled in a new work called Inside the Park, Running the Base Path of Life. It's co-written with Kent Pulliam, a Kansas City writer. Willie, let's talk now about, and again, from the Royals, you go to, if I remember right, Oakland and then on to Chicago. Tell us about the last game that you played? Tell us, do you have the memory of the last Major League Baseball game you played in? And when you left the park, what was your feeling?
Well, it was. I think I got in the game a little bit to play defense, and then over the years, you've seen owners come down 2 or 3 days before a guy got released. And for me, going on my 19th year, I've seen a lot of things happen.
Yeah.
So the owner came down and he had said, "I'm doing a great job." And ironically, I kind of looked over and go, "I'll be seeing you guys pretty soon in a couple of days." So I come in, and Jose Martinez, who ironically, which is really a crazy, crazy way, he was one of the first coaches that I had out of high school in the minor leagues. I've known Jose for years and years, and he'd went off and done other coaching jobs, and he's my first base coach. So he comes out and says, "The manager wants to see you." And I knew, okay. And he goes, "Now." And I go, "Look, I'm going to take a shower. I'm going to get dressed, and I'm going to come upstairs. I know what's going on, so, what's the big deal, as far as that was concerned." But I went up there and basically just that was kind of the first time I was ever in a manager's office, and there was every coach in the office. And I found out that managers now have their coaches around just in case a guy goes crazy and needs help.
Yeah.
So I just said, "Where do I sign?" I signed it and just said, "Thanks a lot," and walked downstairs, and all the reporters are at my locker, and, you have to walk up these steps to get out of the locker room at Wrigley. And so they go, "You don't have anything to say?" And I just said, "Yeah, see you."
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
I wait for waivers, clear waivers for 3 days, and I had a couple teams that wanted me. One was the Texas Rangers, one was the Pittsburgh Pirates, and I heard through the grapevine Nolan didn't want me to come to Texas, and I didn't want to go to Pittsburgh. And so I waited 3 days, packed all my stuff out of the apartment in my car, because you don't travel with a lot. You usually rent stuff at the city that you go to. And I drove on the way home, and it was really funny. I was driving through the Midwest, and it was kind of where I had the beginning of my season. And I'm looking at Cedar Rapids and, different places that I've played, and it was like going back through time as your career was ending, going back to Kansas City.
Well, Willie, it's hard to talk to you anymore. We've got to talk about the Willie Wilson Baseball Foundation.
Sure.
I'd love to talk more about your career. I got thousands of questions, but anyway, let's mention that. Tell us about the foundation, the purpose, and help people understand what it is.
Well, it's called the Willie Wilson Baseball, and it's what we do is we started off. I was a minor league coach. Trying to make this a short story, I was a minor league coach, and I just wasn't ready to be a minor league coach. I just 19, 18-year-olds with attitudes and egos, and so I wanted to start doing this with little kids, teaching them the right way, and I started at about 7, 8 years old. I started this Willie Wilson Baseball Foundation in New Jersey. I moved it to Kansas City with Bobby Denier, who was an ex-Cubby in Philly, and he was my next-door neighbor, and we came really close, and he'd helped me in New Jersey. And what we do is we help kids through a lot of things. We teach them baseball. We give them a life lesson about what has happened to me, us, and all that. But also we've helped people in different areas, different organizations like Team Smile, give kids free dental care. I'm right now getting ready to work with another organization, and it is called, I know it's First Call, and I just talked to some people there, and it's a drug and alcohol facility, and we're trying to do some good stuff for people to let them know that, we're all human. We all make mistakes, no matter what life we're in, what walk of life. But we can overcome it if we do the right things. We fess up to what we do. We be honest with ourselves, and we just try to go about helping people. And I like helping kids, and I feel like if I help them now, they'll grow up to be good people.
Willie, before we start to wind down here a little bit, I do want to hopscotch back quickly to while you were in prison. I'm very curious as to how you were treated or viewed by your fellow inmates. Were you viewed as nothing special, or were you treated differently?
Well, we weren't treated differently, I can tell you that, as far as guards or anybody else was concerned. My detail was mopping and waxing the floors, and we had men on one side, women in the other building, and it was supposed to be a real level one, but it's prison. And if the floors were done well, then my dorm could go to lunch or dinner or breakfast first. If it wasn't, then we were going sixth or seventh, or how many they had in there. There was just one man from somewhere in Kansas. I can't really think of his name, or I didn't really know him, but I didn't want to know him, but I had to know him. And for some reason, he kind of took me under his wing. And wherever something was going to happen bad in there, he kind of came up behind me and said, "Let's go." And I questioned him the first time. "What are you talking about? Let's go." And he just kind of grabbed me and pulled me out. And anything you can get on the streets, you pretty much can get in there. I don't know how they do it, but you can. And they came and raided this one guy in the TV room. And so from that point, I never questioned what he would say. And he told me that he felt like we had got a raw deal because he kept up with it, and he just felt like, you guys are in here not because of the crime, it's because of, who you are. You're
a higher profile. Yeah.
Right. And so I was even told by the judge it was because of who I was. So it was real hard for me to go, I'm not in jail for a crime that nobody else has gone to jail for, ever. I'm in jail because I play professional baseball, and I'm an example to other people. So it was real tough to deal with, but when you look at it over the years and back and all of that, the judge would have never had a decision to make if I don't get myself in trouble.
Yeah.
So that's where you got to come to.
Well, I appreciate your candor and appreciate your career. The work is Inside the Park, Running the Base Path of Life. It's done by Willie Wilson, former Kansas City Royal great with Kent Pulliam. It's on Ascend Books. Willie, how can people find out more about not only the foundation, but also maybe get a copy of the book as well?
Well, I'm glad you said that. I'm having the Sam's Club and Sprint. I'm going to have some interviews, and I'm going to have some book signings there. If you look at Ascend Books, or if you look at WillieWilsonBaseball.org, we'll have what's going to be coming up the next time I go out and sign books.
Okay. Hey, listen, thank you so much, and really appreciate, your contributions on the field, and appreciate the contributions you're doing now. And you got to be kind of jazzed about the Royals again, I would think.
Oh, man, I've gotten a chance to know these young guys over the last couple of years, and believe me, they really, really want to win here. And, it would be nice to share the stage with another couple of World Series winners.
Yeah, indeed. Hey, listen, thanks so much. Have a great day, and would love to have you back on again.
All right, thanks. We'll talk to you.
You bet. We'll be back with more right after this on Lewis at Large.